Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.
We're talking about economic development, cutting utility costs, and making for safer communities. So thank you, President Trump, for the meeting.
He's going to get his marching orders. He's got to find out what Donald Trump wants him to do in the state of New York, because this would be what he would do if he was to be ever elected. I go to have a fight. When I show up, it's to say, we don't want this, and to try to find a way to get money turned back on.
That was Bruce Blakeman, the Nassau County executive, hopefully our next governor here in New York, after leaving a meeting with President Trump at the White House yesterday, followed by Kathy Hochul, and nobody knows Bruce and Nassau County better than the guy that I often say, and maybe not in this order, King Giuliani King, the two best politicians in my lifetime, former Congressman, Homeland Security, and all in all American hero, my friend Peter King. Peter, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning. But after those kind words, I feel bad in saying this, but with all the issues affecting the world today, I don't care about your brain injury, okay? I really don't. First of all, it's such a small item. How can we even know if it's there and we're worried about it? I mean, forget it. Forget it. Drop it. Put the bandage over your face. Nobody cares.
You will never, ever, ever have a better radio start than that. Just so you know. You've won. Congratulations, Pete. That was hilarious. Put the whole bandage over your face. Nobody cares. I think you're right. That was very, very funny. Thank you for the kind words. I did mention you and Giuliani, and I was told not to say who it was, but somebody from the Giuliani camp actually called me from the hospital yesterday. And just to say thank you for all the kind words you say about Rudy. Rudy hears it. Andrew tells him he listens, he loves you, and he's in better shape, and he's really out of danger at this point. And he may be home in a couple of days, which made me very happy. I know it makes you very happy because, again, Pete King, Rudy Giuliani, kind of interchangeable. Amazing, Pete, when you find out that the priest was ready to read Rudy's last rites at his hospital bed on Friday or Saturday, and now he may be coming home in a couple of days.
Well, listen, there's always exaggerations about people, but there's no exaggeration to say that Rudy was the greatest mayor New York ever had, and not just a guy who made things good, a guy who saved the city. There would be no New York if Rudy Giuliani had not been elected mayor in 1993. I mean, many people forget or never knew how bad it was in New York City in 1990, 1991, 1992. It was absolutely terrible. I mean, people were actually asking, can you govern New York? It's ungovernable. He turned it around. He did it with almost no support from the media, no support from the elite. He did it on his own with, again, I say on his own leadership with great people around him, stood with the police, stood with the firefighters, stood with the working men and women in the neighborhoods and got the job done. And also, I've known Rudy for many years. What you may not know is Rudy and I first met in 1967. He and I were summer interns in Richard Nixon's law firm. And
wow.
And there were 12 interns, and they divided us in 6 teams of 2, and Rudy and I were stuck together. And we fought half the time. Rudy was a very contentious guy. I was too, but he was a great guy. He was smart, one of the smartest people, if not the smartest lawyer I've ever met. And he really was the guy could get to the guts of an issue, tear it apart, and then rebuild it. But he and I used to go back and forth on the train every day to work, and so I really got to know him well. And then, of course, we became mayor, and then I was very active in his campaign for president. And you mentioned Randy Levine. I remember Randy and I were down with Rudy in Florida last weekend of his campaign in 2008. And what struck me then was the people who were there campaigning with Rudy were people that had worked with him for years in the mayor's office, going back 15 years. So he really kept people around him. He had a strong cadre of people who really stood with him no matter what. And so, listen, I am so glad that he is coming out of this. And actually, he did get the last rites. The priest gave him the last rites. If he got the last rites, they thought he was going to die. Now, you get them again if you live.
Right.
So he did get the last rites.
He did.
Really something very severe, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, I wish him well. And again, New York will never, ever really fully pay the debt that it owes Rudy Giuliani. And when he went through the last few years, nobody should have had to go through all that. I mean, just the way they went after him, I say they, I'm talking about basically, the media, the political class, was really unfair. And again, this guy saved the city.
He really did. I'm being reminded by my friends at University of Manhattan, University, that Rudy A. Jasper, just like Ray Kelly, and also Mike Lawler. But right, so the question becomes now, it was bad in 92, 93 when Rudy took over, and like you said, did a remarkable job and saved the city. He took over 9 years before his unbelievable leadership during 9/11, and already by that point had started to save the city. It was bad then, but it may be worse now. I know this is a hypothetical, but could Rudy Giuliani, they turn back the clock 20-something years, could a younger Rudy Giuliani walk in here in 2029 when Mamdani is done destroying whatever's left after de Blasio and Adams? Could he save the city again?
It would be certainly much more difficult. For one basic reason is that the city council then, he was able to work with them. People like Peter Malone, you did have mainstream Democrats that you could work with. Today, the city council, except for 4, 5, 6 people, it's beyond hope. So that would really make it tough. But what he would do is he would change the debate. He would make it a fight, and he would probably begin it. It would take him longer to get it done, and it would take like another election to get it done. But I think he could. Listen, I had lunch yesterday with Vicky Palladino. And, when you talk about, Joe Cairo and I had lunch with her, we have to go all the way to Queens. Vicky calls her shots. We have to travel into Queens to have lunch with Vicky. But it was great. But it was great to the extent of being informative. But you realize, especially on the inside, how bad things are in the city government today, how it's totally chaotic. It's really so many ways anti-American, anti-all these standards that really normal people live by. So it's really the people have lost control of their government, and we have to get it back. So it's not just one person. Rudy would be the best person to have in there, but then you'd have to really get the city council back, get some of the state legislators back. I mean, in those days also the Republicans controlled the state Senate. So, and then for part of that time, George Pataki was, in fact, the entire time that Rudy was mayor, George Pataki was the governor, so he had a Republican governor, Republican state Senate. He had a very middle-of-the-road, normal city council he could work with. And so it's really tough. The city is in rough shape now. I mean, really, you look at shining lights. Obviously, Jessica Tisch is one, but it's hard to find anyone in a real position of responsibility. The Republicans on the city council is doing the best, but they're outnumbered, 46-5. I mean, those are
not even close.
Odds, no matter how you look at it.
And of those 46, 24 are complete lunatics, and progressive lunatics. And that brings me to a story that I've been covering all morning long. I have now dubbed Captain James Wilson out of the 94 in Brooklyn. He's been demoted now to the Bronx or some nonsense. He's a hero, okay? And I know that there is policy, and that's fine, okay? So maybe Tisch, the NYPD, had no choice. But I don't like the double standard. Why is it okay for the mayor to constantly criticize the police, go visit perps in the hospital, and on top of that, the city council, they hate the police as much as the mayor does. So when James Wilson gets caught saying to somebody at a protest, some loser, how much he's embarrassed by the mayor and the city and he hates Democrats, this poor bastard gets demoted. The city council members on Twitter this morning, every one of them are killing this poor cop. And I don't care what they do to him. As far as I'm concerned, Peter King, Captain James Wilson out of Brooklyn, he's a hero.
Yeah, I mean, listen, under our standards, there's always civilian control of the military, civilian control of the police, and basically civilians can say more than cops can. Having said that, it's always been the unwritten rule that, yes, cops don't speak out on political issues, but mayors don't go after the cops the way they are. So Mayor Mamdani has really broken the unwritten rule. Now, the captain may have technically violated the written rule, but Mamdani has time and again violated the unwritten rule that you don't have the mayor of New York attacking his own police department. And in the worst way, it's one thing if he said, I disagree with their tactics, I disagree with their strategies, but to basically say that they're racist, they're bigots, that they're anti-Muslim, they're anti-gay, I mean, all of that stuff he said, And then when you had that demonstration at the hospital the other day, demonstration, it was a riot. And ICE wasn't going after anyone. This guy was a violent criminal. He was in the country illegally. He had violent crimes. And they were taking him to the hospital for treatment. And then when he was in there, you had these neighborhood agitators stirring up this mob of animals to come out. And to me, this isn't even looked upon as something like a 50-50 or something to debate. It was wrong. And every cop there did the right thing. Those people had no business being there. It was terrible. And to me, I wish they could have locked them all up and the judge given them all prison time. Absolute disgrace. I mean, it's really terrible. I'm just trying to think back years ago. My father was a cop. He wouldn't know what I was talking about if I said this was going on.
Crazy.
That they had brought in a guy who was a criminal here illegally, had violent crimes. They were following the law, and then you have hundreds of people in the neighborhood coming out, throwing stuff, and it's total chaos and violence. It's just incredible that the media doesn't give it the coverage it deserves. The extent that it was evil, it was wrong. The cops have nothing to explain themselves for. The cops were doing the right thing, and they probably should have done more.
I agree. I want to get back to the audio I played for you when I introduced you, and you were very funny. Bruce Blakeman, after he left President Trump at the White House yesterday, you're a Nassau County executive for the second time now, running for governor. And he had a nice meeting with Trump yesterday. Then I played Hochul, who's like, he gets his marching orders from Trump. And yes, I talked to Trump, but it's not nice. I yell at him basically and say, give me my money. Trump says to me on this show, I got to tell you, Sid, when I talk to Hochul, she's so nice. She's so nice. And then the next morning, she goes out and starts killing me in the media. So she's a coward and a liar. But while her unfavorables have gone up, that's good news for us. She's up to 41%. Her lead, at least in the polls, has gone from 13 to 16. And I know we're going to talk about how polls don't count. I'm tired of doing that. They do. And a 16-point lead is a bit much. Are you concerned about the latest numbers, or do you remain very confident and hopeful, like I do, that Bruce will be our next governor?
Well, I'm hopeful, and I'm confident. Listen, obviously, you'd always like better numbers, but Siena is historically a biased poll, but also within that poll, 67% of the state said that Hochul's taking the state in the wrong direction.
Yes.
67%. That's a tremendous number. And also her unfavorables, now they're 46%. They've gone up. So it's hard to see how your unfavorables go up and yet your lead increases. And also Bruce is still winning among independents, which to me is key. So if she's under 50%, and there's all these rules in politics, some are made to be broken, but one of them is if you're the incumbent and you've been in office more than a few years and your favorable numbers, your numbers are under 50%, then you're in trouble. So that means that it's really up to Bruce now, not just up to Bruce, he's doing what he has to do, but the people behind Bruce, the people who support Bruce, and the people who are against Hochul to get the vote out. It drives me crazy. People say, Bruce should be going here, Bruce should be going there. This is a big state. He's going everywhere.
He is.
He can't be everywhere at the same time.
Right.
So it's up to you. I would say you. I'm sorry, the people who say they support Bruce or want Hochul out, for them to do the job, get out there and stop bitching and complaining and work hard for him and say, how do I get it done? Don't be saying, he should be in Schenectady instead of Secaucus.
Yeah, but like you said, he is there. He's been going to Utica, Schenectady, Rochester, Syracuse. He's up there with Todd Hood all the time.
I would say you can't be in both places at the same time.
Right.
So when he's downstate, they say he should be upstate. When he's upstate, they say he should be downstate. No, listen, there's so many critics out there, and I'm talking about on our side, who should be just standing behind him, getting behind him, giving this guy credit. He's going everywhere, and he's getting screwed by the state. They didn't give him the matching funds. He's fighting that in court, which was absolute robbery. I mean, you talk to even Democrats, honest Democrats privately say this was a raw deal with Bruce Scott. So I think he's going to win that case. But he's got to. He will continue doing what he's doing, but we have to do more. We have to get out there and work. Joe Cairo is doing all that he can. Janine Driscoll is running for her own seat in Congress, but also running for Bruce. I mean, he has unified support from people that know him, but people who may not know him personally and just think he's a good guy and they don't like Hochul, they can't just sit back and complain and moan and talk about more being done. He's doing everything anyone could possibly do.
All right, last 60 seconds. Let's move to Iran. You're so good with this stuff. And I'm frustrated. I'm admitting it. I love President Trump. I love the fact we got involved in the war. It was the right move. I really do. I think he did a great job early on. But as this thing continues to go on and go on and go on, and all my Republican friends talk about it won't matter if he wins, they're wrong. It does matter. What matters is the timing. He can't win, if there is a win here, close to November. It'll be too late. So there is a timing issue, I believe, that is starting to go against us. You know, he went to this Project Freedom, and now he's paused that. You know, so every other day is a different excuse as to why he's giving the Iranians room to breathe, yet he keeps coming back with the same threat that I'm still considering blowing them to smithereens. I don't think the messaging is great. What does Peter King think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it is important that we are there. The president is doing the right thing. Also, I don't know what Steve Witkoff is doing as our main negotiator. I mean, this is not a real estate deal. This is something that goes back in many ways centuries with the mindset of some of the people in Iran. You have to have someone who really understands that diplomacy. And I say diplomacy. I'm not saying be diplomatic. I'm saying understand where these people are coming from, how you have to combat them, and how there's no such thing as compromise or being reasonable. They're only going to, quote unquote, compromise if they think there's a gun to their head, and that's what has to be done here. So I'm not crazy about Witkoff being our chief negotiator. I think the president should be more direct in saying, "Hey, this is tough. It's not going to be over quickly. We'll do as quickly as possible." But also, even among Republicans, we have to try to be more supportive. I mean, you're going back to Munich when the British Prime Minister said his people didn't care about what happened in a faraway land. Well, the fact is it came back to bite them, more than bite them, almost destroy them. So, I mean, if we don't take care of Iran now, our children and grandchildren are going to be faced with nuclear war coming up in not too long a period of time. So it is tough. There's no easy answer. But I wish the president, stop calling off these temporary truces. Unless there's something going on we don't know behind the scenes. But
right.
You're counting on those guys being reasonable. Forget about it. They're animals. They're butchers. They're fanatics. They're ideologues. And so to the extent we have the military capacity, I think we do, we should go all out with the military, going there, destroying whatever they have, which can be used. And that should be able to undermine them. Also do what has to be done. And also get more of the allies involved. Stop fighting with our own allies. Get them involved with the minesweeping. We can, after the war's over, we can all fight. But in the meantime, let's get it done now.
Couldn't agree more. Pete King, another amazing, amazing appearance. You're great every Wednesday. No different today. I love you. Peter King, great job. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good luck with your head.
There I was, just trying to reach down for the paper towels, I should say, and smashed my head really loud. They heard the thud upstairs on my granite marble, I guess, countertop, and started bleeding profusely, and did not have a chance to meet Lou and MJ at Pico's for a Cinco de Mayo cocktail. I don't drink anyway, but instead, there I was at City MD getting, what is the name of that stuff they put on my head to glue my head together?
Crazy glue.
Durabond? Crazy glue. Gorilla glue. But I'm okay. Pete was very funny this morning. Very, very funny.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit ASBGold.com. That's ASBGold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.